Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would talk about this little video and the subject that I found to be very particularly interesting. And this is going to be a topic on the Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou fight that is going to be happening, I believe, this month. I think later on during the month. I think the fight happens on October 21st or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. But anyways, for those of you, of course, that don't know, Tyson Fury, who is probably the best heavyweight in the world right now in terms of boxing, and in my view, one of the top five to top six pound for pound fighters. A lot of people they always dispute when I say that, but listen, when you talk about Tyson Fury, he's very accomplished for his heavyweight division. He is just as skilled as a lot of other elite fighters out there, at least for that of the heavyweight division. He's undefeated and he's held every single belt. I believe, including that of the Ring Magazine belts at the heavyweight division. He's held every single belt there. And on top of that, he's undefeated. He's a great defensive fighter. He's a great offensive fighter. He pretty much has it all. So that's why I've always put Tyson Fury on, kind of a great plane because, in my view, he's a great fighter. No doubt about it. But anyways, Francis Ngannou brought up something that was very particularly interesting. He's thinking that Tyson Fury, of course, is going to allegedly cheat with the gloves. And of course, this misinformation has been spread by that of Deontay Wilder and his pro-black fanboys. But, I just thought that it was very interesting. But Joe Rogan, he had Francis Ngannou on his podcast, I believe right before that of the Tyson Fury fight. And Joe Rogan basically was able to shut this allegation down with something that I said a very long time ago, especially in terms of regarding to Tyson Fury, allegedly putting his hand lower down into the glove, which really wouldn't even make any fucking sense in the first place because you'd probably break your knuckles doing it that way, and the punches really wouldn't be anywhere near as hard. It really makes no goddamn sense. But because a lot of these channels don't know shit about boxing and have never really sparred before that much, or they're just talking shit or trying to spread narratives, of course, a lot of the times it gets passed around. But that's why I like to, kind of talk about it. Anyways, Joe Rogan, he's going to talk about it. I thought it was very interesting. Let's get straight into it.
And one thing that and we are going to talk about is Tyson gloves. He's he's very tricky with his glove. I
With his
think he's
gloves?
cheat. Yeah,
You think he's cheating?
I've heard a
About
lot of
what?
complaint about his gloves, which is like his glove has no protection.
Where have you heard this from?
Even when he fought Deontay Wilder, he
Yeah.
complained.
Yes, and that's the only time that you've ever heard Tyson Fury allegedly cheating with the gloves. Isn't that very interesting? And I always said this. Isn't it very interesting that there was never any allegations of Tyson Fury cheating with the glove until, the favorite pro-black fighter on the planet, Deontay Wilder, ended up getting his ass kicked in the rematch. Now, had Deontay Wilder knocked Tyson Fury out within 6 rounds, there never would have been any allegations. They would have been perfectly fine, and they would have been crediting Tyson Fury for fighting that of Deontay Wilder. Remember, they were actually crediting Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder when they were about to fight each other because the main target was AJ. They were trying to promote Deontay Wilder as the best heavyweight in the world, which, by the way, he never was. Deontay Wilder was never the number one overall heavyweight in the world. Never, ever, ever. Just is what it is. Not only did he only have one belt at a time, but he never had the resume to prove that he was ever the number one heavyweight in the world. Never. If AJ was not above him, then it was Tyson Fury. It just is what it is. But when it comes down to it, Deontay Wilder's side, he always tried to prove that, Tyson Fury's gloves, that, he cheated with them. But isn't it interesting? There was never any accusations, and I always said this before Deontay Wilder ended up getting his ass kicked. There was never any accusations. They never noticed it in the first fight against Tyson Fury because it ended up in a draw. They never noticed it before in any of his other fights. All of a sudden, their favorite pro-blackity black fighter, Deontay Wilder, gets his ass whooped, and then all of a sudden they notice all this new evidence. Isn't that interesting?
About that.
Yeah, but did you ever look into that,
direct
though?
Tisora complained.
No, he never did look into it, and that's why he's talking about something that he has no idea about. And Francis Ngannou, be very careful because going down that, woke, super liberal, super pro-black, that avenue, that's not going to help you at all. All that's going to do is tear you down from the inside out because those guys are all about excuses. Those guys are all about the victim mentality, and that is not usually great for success.
About that,
Yeah.
and that's what we are talking about the team. And then I'm like, oh,
And don't get me wrong, there is cheating in boxing. you know, I'm not by any means saying that cheating in boxing is okay. Of course, you have to go down hard on that. But the thing is with Tyson Fury is that they never were able to allege, at least with the gloves, that Tyson Fury, or with any actual evidence that Tyson Fury was actually cheating. All it is a bunch of salty dudes that are really upset because their pro-black leader, their pro-black king, quote unquote, Deontay Wilder, ended up getting beat up. And not only did he get beat up, but he pretty much got his ass waxed against a Caucasian fighter that they'd never expected to come back and return as the best heavyweight in the world. And they're super pissed off and they're very butthurt because their dream was that Deontay Wilder would eventually become the best heavyweight in the world, knock out Tyson Fury, and then knock out AJ Anthony Joshua. But it didn't happen like that.
Yes, the UK commission, the gloves. I'm like, bro, we're going to get there. We need every glove to be checked. You don't tell me about this commission. All the gloves get to be checked. I don't want, if you want us to fight bare hands, bare knickers, let's go bare knickers. But don't give me a 10-ounce gloves and wear a 8-ounce or 6-ounce glove because he has no protection. Nah.
You really think he's doing that?
I think so.
No, that's not what Tyson Fury is doing. Now, what Tyson Fury has done at certain times is that he's been wearing a different brand of glove than what Deontay Wilder did, which one could say, you know, has a horsehair padding, you know, which one could maybe say creates more of a puncher's glove to a certain degree. However, the thing is that that's not illegal in boxing, and that's what a lot of people don't really understand. That never has really been illegal in boxing. To use a horsehair glove has never been illegal, and they're still used today. Now, if you believe personally that horsehair gloves should not be used, that's up to you. But this is very similar to that of the Naoya Inoue, you know, quote unquote controversy right before he was about to fight that of Steven Fulton. You know, where a lot of people, they were saying that, oh, you know, Inoue is double stacking, he's cheating and all sort of stuff. You know, the basic ritual they usually go through whenever a fighter is about to face a black fighter, and they have to try to tear down that fighter just in case he gets the victory. You know, they were saying that, oh, well, Inoue is using double stacking and all sort of shit. Inoue was using a legal type of wrapping for his hands in that of Japan. And not only is it legal in Japan, it's legal in that of New York. I believe it's legal in Texas. The only area that it's not legal in, at least that I know of in terms of a grand stage, is out of Las Vegas. That's about it. You know, so once again, it's very similar to that type of controversy. You can, you know, in your view, if you think it should be banned, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, it is not within that. It is within that of the rules. It is within that of the laws and regulations of boxing.
I mean, I have heard.
Yeah, I've seen the Deontay Wilder videos, but they're not convincing. Here's why. They're showing those videos in slow motion. Yeah. And in slow motion, it looks like his glove is flopping all over the place. Yeah. But that's just because it's in slow motion. When you watch him box...
And when you throw a punch in terms of a boxing match, and if you have those type of maneuverable gloves like what Tyson Fury does, because his gloves were not once again made out of foam, they were made out of horsehair. So they were different. Horsehair is going to be more maneuverable than that of foam padding. But when it comes down to it, on top of that, when you're also throwing a punch, you know, especially, you know, with full weight, your wrist is going to usually bend a little bit further in certain directions than what it is than just trying to prop it up overall at normal speed as what you would be when you're trying to bend your wrist normally. But, you know, these boneheads don't understand anything about that because they don't really know shit about boxing.
He's doing this. You know, he flicks. He shows you it, pop, and then he drops a big punch in. So in slow motion, it looks like it's all floppy, like it's not connected. And you think that the gloves are really like just flopping around, and where his knuckles are is where the wrap is. But that's not the case, because if you look at the length of his arm,
but his opponent complains about his gloves.
Yeah, I don't know if they're right.
I mean, there might not be.
Now, Joe Rogan brought up a great point, or maybe he hasn't brought it up yet, but I always said this as well. If you take a look at certain videos, Tyson Fury's wrist will flick, but then his hand will close immediately. It'll be a clenched fist. So, once again, please tell me, if Tyson Fury put his hand lower into the glove, how is that even possible? I've not gotten an answer to this question to this day. You know, as Deontay Wilder would say, to this day. You know, I've not gotten an answer to that question to this fucking day. Still not one. Still not one of these idiots. You know, one of these pro-racial dudes on these LDBC and new media channels. These Deontay Wilder fanboys. I still have not gotten one answer that I've found to be logical to this day. I haven't even really gotten one response. Once again, if someone can answer me this question, how was Tyson Fury's hand lower into the glove which would not really even be an effective technique anyway. How would his hand be lower into the glove? And first of all, the glove not fall off. And then second of all, when it comes down to it, that Tyson Fury, his hand immediately, or his fingers are shown at the top of the glove because he's clenching the fist. How the hell does that even make any sense?
I don't know if they're right.
We have to.
No, he isn't right. But unfortunately, Ngannou, he's not really doing any research. He's just going by what the Deontay Wilder fanboys are stating. But you know what? It's always great to be cautious and look into everything, no matter who you're fighting. And of course, if you hear rumor like this, and if you don't know that of the boxing world, of course you're going to be a little bit concerned. I understand.
Check that.
Yeah, well,
we have
I'm
to
sure.
check that.
I think it's legit. I think he's legit. I just think he's that good.
No, he's good. He's good.
And his style of like...
Tyson Fury isn't just a good fighter. He's a great fighter. And, Tyson Fury, if he ends up beating that of Alexander Usyk for the complete undisputed championship, Tyson Fury, in my view, is going to have a serious debate as the debatable greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. And I know a lot of people, they're not going to agree with that, but it is what it is. If he's able to retire undefeated and as the complete undisputed heavyweight fighter of all time, and then maybe a couple of other fights as well, he will have a serious debate as the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. Because there's just nothing else that that he could have done. He would be completely undisputed. He's already won every single belt at that division anyway. He's beaten Deontay Wilder. He's beaten Vladimir Klitschko. And a couple of other decent names. Like Dillian White and probably a couple others that I'm not remembering at the moment. He doesn't have the most extensive resume out of any heavyweight fighter in history. I'm not saying that it would make him definitively over certain fighters like Lennox Lewis or Ali or Rocky Marciano, because those would be my top 3 heavyweights in my personal view. But it would make him on his level.
Yeah.
Keeping that hand...
Or on their level, excuse me.
Loose and flicking, so sometimes that wrist opens way up, and if you look at it in slow...
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for saying that. I've been saying that now for the past few years, that these idiots have come out the woodwork and been trying to allege that. Thank you so much.
Slow motion, people are like, look, his glove's not even attached. His glove's attached. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because...
Thank you, Joe.
After he does this, he does this.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And how the hell is that even possible if his hand is lower into the glove and his knuckles and then is in the fucking middle of the glove? You wouldn't even be able to open up your goddamn hand back unless you're trying to push the glove back into it. Thank you.
There's no way he's doing this if his glove's not attached. It's attached. He just loosens his hands because he a lot of his punches, he's just showing you things. He's showing.
Agreed. And when you loosen your hand, and on top of that, when you're throwing with more force and you're trying to throw a full force punch, when you're flicking the jab, a lot of the times your wrist is going to be more malleable. But a lot of these guys, and of course malleable means like, more flexible or more maneuverable. But a lot of these guys, they don't understand that.
You think he's showing you this, and then he's doing all this. So a lot of it is loose, and he's just popping you with that like a whip.
Well, I think we have nothing to lose by a double check.
Nothing to lose by double check.
I certainly agree with that. You have nothing to lose by double check, Ngannou. But do I agree that Tyson Fury is cheating with his gloves? Absolutely not. I've never agreed with it. Now, has there been certain fighters in the past like Luis Resto or Antonio Margarito, or other fighters that have cheated with that of certain hand wraps or cheated with that, of certain gloves? Yes, there has been, no doubt about it. It's very interesting by a lot of these LDBC and new media channels. They always like to complain about Tyson Fury's gloves. What's very interesting? The only channel that I ever seen talk about this little thing, which in my view was more controversial, because I've never seen this in a fight, was when Terrence Bud Crawford's gloves on both of them busted open in that David Avanesian fight. Isn't that interesting? When have you ever seen a professional pair of gloves bust open to where padding was exposed in both of them? Isn't that very interesting? Or Jared Anderson, it was found to be that the gloves, that there was foam padding exposed in that of the gloves. None of these channels, like to talk about that shit, though. Ain't that a bitch? But interesting.
Yeah,
That's
because
true.
it's been more than once that people talk about his gloves.
Right, but nobody
and even his
beats him.
opening. Even his opening.
No, it's really only Deontay Wilder that talked about Tyson Fury's gloves. Once again, I agree with Ngannou that nothing can hurt from a double check. You check those gloves thoroughly. I completely agree with that. There's no, once again, so Ngannou is doing his, proper thing by, making sure that Tyson Fury, that, he gets his gloves checked. No doubt about it. But in terms of in terms of Tyson Fury actually cheating with the gloves, no.
Yeah, I'm sure they talk about it. He kicks their ass. People looking for reasons. Like Deontay Wilder thought he got poisoned. He thought right?
Yeah, Deontay Wilder made 1,000,002 excuses. Deontay, and a lot of fighters make excuses. I can somewhat get it. I don't like to, go down hard on fighters when they lose a lot of the times. Now, I myself am a very harsh critic, but I don't like to, be the man when he's down. But, Deontay Wilder, like, I've seen a lot of fighters make excuses. I've seen Lomachenko make the excuse that his shoulder was hurt in the Teofimo Lopez fight. I seen Manny Pacquiao say that he had a hurt shoulder in the Mayweather fight, and a million other excuses when he would lose a fight. I seen other fighters make several excuses when it came down to it. Of course, there's the Mike Tyson back excuse when it comes down to it. And, there's several other fighters that I'm sure I'm leaving out. Guillermo Rigondeaux with the alleged broken hand, even though he didn't land a single punch in that Vasily Lomachenko fight. But Deontay Wilder, man, he might have had the worst excuse, I think, out of anybody. He was poisoned, the armor was too much, the costume, was too much weight. Remember that, a world-class athlete, can't handle a costume, can't handle a 2-minute ring walk. Like, get the fuck out of here.
A lot of things.
His corner was in on it. That's why he fired Mark Breland, because he allowed him, to, do the gloves. Even though, it was JD's, the Caucasian trainer in his corner. That was the one watching Tyson Fury's gloves. That's how you always knew Deontay Wilder was full of shit in the first place. And Tyson Fury brought that up as well. And Deontay never had a response to that. And these dumbass LDBC and new media channels, they never had a response to that either, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just out here, trying to spread a bunch of bullshit narratives, because they don't want people like Tyson Fury or Canelo Alvarez or these other fighters that aren't Black American fighters to be remembered as great fighters.
That's because the guy's that good. He's fucking good, man. And I just think that style, when you look at it in slow motion, it might look like his gloves are not attached, but they are most certainly attached.
But in the boxing world, you have to worry
It's a
about
dirty
everything.
world. You're right.
It's a dirty world.
That's a
You
dirty
have to
world.
worry about everything.
Yeah. That's
I
a
mean,
dirty
if
world.
somebody says something in the boxing, you better just double check.
Double check.
Double check.
But anyways, that's pretty much about it. I just thought that was very particularly interesting. Anyways, I do agree with Mr. Francis Ngannou that it certainly cannot hurt to double check. I think that it's going to be a very good thing to double check. You never know, of course, what you can find depending on, who the fighter is, no matter who the fighter is. So I agree with Francis Ngannou there. I think he's coming from a perspective of, pretty much just hearing it, hearsay. And, I think that, of course, he slightly believes it because he probably watched a couple of YouTube videos and all this other shit. And I'm sure that he was convinced. But it's no offense against Ngannou, but he doesn't really know anything about boxing, but it is what it is. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for this video. I just thought that was very particularly interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see how this fight goes. Of course, I do expect Tyson Fury to more than likely beat Ngannou by that stoppage. I'm not usually a big fan of the boxing versus MMA fighter in the boxing ring, because it's basically a guy that knows how to strike but doesn't know how to box, against, a true level elite boxer in that of the boxing ring. I've never really been a fan of those fights, just in my personal view, unless you're looking for kind of a spectacle. It's not something in my view that is super entertaining, but, I'll probably still get it just to review the fight, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.